This is how to use blow-dry brass. The only parts you need are the jar with a loaded bit and the ramrod, which also serves as a mouthpiece swab. Now the spare foam bits are housed underneath the jar and are contained by this little red plunger so they don't come flying out when you're using the product. So the first thing you'll do is take the mouthpiece and run the ramrod into the cup end. It dries out the throat, and then do the shank in to remove the moisture in the shank. You can see from doing this on a clean mouthpiece daily that it keeps the inside of the mouthpiece nice and clean. Now you're ready to open up the jar and pull out the loaded foam bit. Again, it's saturated with 91% alcohol. The idea is that you want to squeeze most of the alcohol, if not all of it, back into the container so you can use it later, and you just want the foam to be nice and pliable, and it expands a lot with this alcohol. So you can see that the spare foam bit on the right is much smaller, it's a lot more rigid. So that's what the alcohol does to the bit. You pinch and roll it, put into the receiver, and at this point you use a ramrod to move it past the receiver and into the lead pipe, and then you would blow it through the instrument. So this shows you now the whole horn. Again, starting with the mouthpieces, as it has to come off when you get done playing. Again, drying the throat, the shank, and then you're ready to use the blow-dry brass bit. Now I use cotton ball in a container to dump the waste water coming out. Again, you want to pinch the alcohol back into the jar to use later, and then you pinch and roll into the receiver and then push it past the receiver with ramrod, holding any slides that don't have stops, or moving to the end of the stops, blowing very slowly. The slower you blow, the more moisture you'll pick up. And then you dump the excess liquid out of that. Make sure you don't put it back into the jar. And then go through a second time. Again, valves closed. By this time now the alcohol is evaporating and the foam bit is starting to shrink. So then I'll re-swell it in the 91% alcohol to do the last run through with the valves open. And that's pretty much all you'll need to do daily after you practice, or every other day. It's a fairly quick process, less than a couple minutes, and you're good to go.